Welcome to the Cross Creek On Demand podcast, a podcast for you because God is for you. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our series, Resisting the System, How to Live the Jesus Way. Let's be honest, the world feels louder, angrier, and more divided than ever. You've probably felt it in a group chat, at a family dinner, or just scrolling through your feed. The pressure to pick a side or just stay silent to survive is real. But what if there's a better way? What if resistance doesn't mean rage or retreat, but something entirely different? In this episode, we're looking at Jesus' radically different strategy for unity in a divided culture. It's not about silence or shouting. It's a movement fueled by humility, patience, courage, and love. No matter where you're coming from, this conversation is for you. So, let's talk about it together. Right now, it seems like everyone is divided, loud, and angry. Like you feel it when you're hanging out with Cousin Eddie, and he starts talking about the government, right? You feel it when that coworker starts ranting about, what are we going to do about them? Not even aware that other people around him might have views. Your stomach starts to tighten. The fight or flight kind of kicks in. You start wondering, like, how do I say the right thing in this situation? Or how do I get out of this conversation without making it worse? And underneath it all, I think you just feel tired. I know I do. Tired of the noise, tired of the outrage. And here's the reality. Like we talked about last week if you were here when we started this new series, Resisting the System. There is a system of division in our world. There's a system of division in our world. If you were here for the Revelation series, the author of Revelation, John, he called it Babylon. A lot of biblical writers call it the world. We, I think, often call it them. You know, they are trying to destroy America. They are out to get us. Them. And this system thrives on tribalism, pick one side or the other, suspicion, and fear. Like you got to watch out because they're winning. And so if they win, then life's going to be terrible and the country's going to fall apart. And both sides are saying that about each other, making you think you need to be scared that they are going to win. And the thing is, the system doesn't just demand that we pick a side. It demands that we declare our full allegiance all the way on their side. And if you pick wrong, you're out. There's no middle. Pick this one or that one. And if you pick wrong, you're done. And so most of us, I think, in this situation, choose between two options. We're trapped between outrage and apathy. We're trapped between outrage and apathy. See, like for some, the pressure to speak up, the pressure to make that post, the pressure to argue and fight and defend our side feels constant. And eventually it feels crippling. Others are just tired. Tired of being lied to, tired of being manipulated, tired of the noise, and so what do? We withdraw quietly, choosing silence in order to survive, never actually voicing our true opinions about anything. And this system of division has left us and our neighbors, you see it everywhere, isolated, starving for authentic connection, and exhausted by relational landmines. Like this system, and we've seen it in the last 5 years, it's broken families. It's turned neighbors and coworkers into enemies. It's made every opinion feel like a ticking time bomb, just waiting to go off in either your inbox or your group texts or even in your own home. And this system still promises, hey, just pick the right side and you'll find unity. But has it ever delivered? Has this system of division ever actually worked? I mean, look around. It never has it? We're even more divided than we ever have been. But there's a better way. That's why we're here. There's a better way, a totally different way to resist this system of division. And it's not by selling out to a side, and it's not by attacking, and it's not by retreating either. but by practicing real unity. Unity that isn't just about agreement or getting along, but unity that's about allegiance to Jesus and love for each other. We call it the Jesus way. It's a way that starts with, as we said last week, being rooted in God's love. And if you missed last week, I recommend you go back and listen because it kind of starts off the series. But the Jesus way, it thrives in others-focused, God-made unity. That's what I want to talk about tonight. Because the church, us sitting here, wasn't created just to add to the noise of all the outrage and division. That's not why we were created. The church's role isn't to pick either right or left or red and blue. Or even, it's not even to stay in the middle of all the fighting. See, that's not the resistance Jesus calls his church to. That's the life that Jesus offers. The church was created to be the alternative to the division. And not just the alternative to the division, the actual solution to the division. See, Jesus invites us to join a whole different kind of resistance, where we resist not by picking sides or by staying silent, but by practicing real unity, a unity built through humility and courage and love, a unity that thrives when real differences actually exist. See, that's always been the church's mission. In fact, in the divided imperial culture of the first century, the Apostle Paul wrote to a small group of Jesus followers, small community of Jesus followers in the wealthy, idol-soaked city of Ephesus. And in the middle of his letter, he tells them, in a divided world, God has called us to resist the system of division together. In a divided world, God has called us to resist the system of division together. Now, if you're sitting here or you're listening online, you're just kind of checking out the church thing, I think you're going to get a good insight into what the church is supposed to be. And maybe why you or your friends or your family have been turned off by the church lately, because it seems like the church has picked a side or something like that, has entered the noise. And so we're going to see what the church was made to be. And those of us sitting here who do call ourselves Jesus followers, I think there's going to be some serious stuff to look at tonight. So what I want to do is step back 2,000 years and see how resisting the system really hasn't changed since the beginning. So here's what Paul says in Ephesians 4. He says, "Therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord," he's in prison while he was writing this, by the way. "Therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling, for you have been called by God." A little tip when you're reading the Bible and you see the word therefore. What do you ask? What's the therefore there for? Like, what is he referring to when he says therefore? Well, he's referring to what we talked about last week, because of what he wrote earlier. Because you are rooted in and practicing enjoying God's love daily, which we talked about last week, he says, then lead a life worthy of your calling, for you were called by God. Seems like a big deal. If you're called by God himself, what is that? What is this calling? It's to pledge allegiance to Jesus and live as the people of God on earth now. That's what we've been called to do. Pledge allegiance to Jesus and live as people of God on earth now. To bring God's love and peace to the world, one choice and one person at a time. Now, for years when I would read this, because I went to Christian school from kindergarten to high school. My dad was a pastor. I was at all the youth groups, all the camps, all that. So, this was a big one we heard all the time. For years, I thought Paul was saying that I should just try harder to be a better person. I need to live a life worthy of my calling. I just need to be a better person. Try harder. Like this was about me trying harder to behave better. And that's what God cared about, was my behavior modification, right? Just be a better person. But I missed the point. Because I read this like Paul was writing to a person, writing a letter like I would write to one of you, right? But he's not. As we've said before, he's not writing to a person, he's writing to a community of people. All the yous in this are plural. He's talking to a group. And so this call isn't just to be a good person. It's a call of resistance, called to be resistance together. See, the world's system says, look out for yourself. Make yourself worthy of respect and honor and be right and make sure you win. The Jesus way is about a community of Jesus followers walking in allegiance to Jesus together. The system's way is to be a lone ranger, right? Holding out against what you think is wrong in the world. Be louder, be stronger, make that stand no matter if you're alone or not. The system is designed to wear you down as you try to stand alone. Maybe winning arguments, but losing friends over and over. Or to overwhelm you so that you stay silent and ineffective. Like, think about this. Maybe you're not exhausted right now because you're doing it wrong and losing. Maybe you're exhausted because you've been doing it alone. And Paul says, we resist the system by walking with a community rooted in God's love. We really want to resist this system. We do it in a community that is rooted in God's love. So what makes the Jesus way and the Jesus community so different? Like, why can't we all just get along, right? What makes the Jesus community different? What does resistance actually look like when the problem is relational, when it's between us and someone else? How do we stand out in our divided world without burning out or shutting down? I think Paul's answer might surprise you. He says, always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. That is so stupid. Like, that would never work in the real world, right? Like, when was the last time you saw a politician win and actually get elected, or you saw someone become a CEO, or see someone win by being humble and gentle and patient with other people's faults? Like, we all know that then you have to be ruthless. You have to be loud enough to be heard. You have to fight for your way. You have to demand excellence and perfection from everyone around you, right? You've seen how, like, the big movie stars and the politicians, how they scream at their staff because they need to get the best out of them, right? But what is that thinking created? What is that having to be ruthless to win? What has that created for us? A divided world full of selfish, burned out, and burned up people. Like, people who can't maintain any type of real deep connection with others. And it's not just politicians out there. Like, there's church leaders that I used to follow, like, hey, either get on the bus or get behind the bus because the bus is going. And there's lots of bodies behind the bus because this church is moving forward. Be gentle and what? See, the Jesus way is the exact opposite of what we've been told works. The Jesus way is the exact opposite of what we've been told works. How? What is this Jesus way? He says, be humble. Meaning not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less, right? Which stands in stark contrast to the arrogance and pride that permeates our world. See, pride always isolates. Makes you feel less than and me more than, or vice versa. Humility always invites. Come alongside me, or I'll come alongside you. Let's be together. Pride always isolates. Humility always invites. The Jesus way that doesn't work in the real world is gentle. Not weak, but gentle. That's having strength that's under control. Think of a big burly farmer. I know I can see it right now because I'm standing up here, right? A big burly farmer that then looks in the grass and stops his tractor blades from running over this little baby and is holding it, right? And so gentle and caring with it. He could smash that thing. But he's got his strength under control. He's gentle. And this gentleness shines out against our culture's background of self-assertion and rudeness and harshness. It means having our emotions under control, not shoving them down, and not pretending we're never angry or passionate. No, instead of being in a constant state of anger and fighting, a gentle person who is controlled by God, who is following the Jesus way, is angry at the right times and in the right ways. We're not shoving it down, but we're following God's lead in it. The Jesus way is patient, not quick to anger or frustration. The self-restraint that doesn't hastily retaliate against a wrong. It never gives up, but because it endures to the end, even when things are difficult, even in the face of serious disagreements. It's patient. It doesn't react in self-defensive ways, but responds in compassionate ways for the other person. And then Paul says it's bearing with one another in love, knowing we are all imperfect. Sometimes we leave the door open and it's awkward. We're all imperfect. But we're choosing to live in loving tolerance with each other. Choosing to live in loving tolerance with each other. And then Paul says something interesting. He says, make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit. Keep every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit. Other translations might actually say it better. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit. And it's so interesting because he doesn't say to create unity through the Spirit. That's how I used to read it. Make sure you're creating unity through the Holy Spirit. He says to keep it or to maintain it. See, unity is something the church already has. It's something that's created by the Holy Spirit. Our job is to maintain, preserve, and mature it. It's not something we have to force. It's something that is already given to us. Our job is to maintain it and mature it. And if we don't, because either we're giving in to and relying on pride or arrogance or anger or fighting every chance we get, if we don't and we lose the unity, or if we don't, then we will lose the unity. And then we'll become just like everyone else. Isolated, angry, an ineffective voice just adding to the angry noise around us. We'll start arguing about the color of the carpet should be, which is easy because we rent this place so we don't have to decide that. But there's other things we could argue about. See, here's the thing. True unity isn't built on agreement. Unity isn't built on agreement. It doesn't come from shared politics, shared theology, even shared worldviews. It comes from the Holy Spirit. It's formed by love, and it's sustained by humility, gentleness, and patience. We don't need to agree to be united. We don't have to solve every division to show love. We don't need to hit it off and be each other's favorite people. Unity doesn't come from chemistry. It's maintained by commitment. Unity doesn't come from chemistry. It's maintained by commitment. And the system tells us that disagreeing means dividing. If we disagree, then we need to divide and become enemies. In the way of Jesus, disagreeing means we get to practice and illustrate true love. When there's a disagreement, it's an opportunity to actually illustrate and practice love. See, unity starts when we say, you don't have to think like me to walk with me. You don't have to think like me to still walk with me. And so ask yourself, what is more important? To be loving or to prove that you're right? One's more fun, but it doesn't work. What's more important, to win the argument or to win the relationship? I know that might sound idealistic, but unity is deeper than just warm feelings, warm, fuzzy, squishy feelings. We can't really say, well, let's just agree to disagree and then, automatically everything will be fine. It doesn't work like that. So what is it that lets us rise above all the noise and show the world that there can be true unity in the face of real disagreements? Good question. Paul answers it. For there is one body and one Spirit, just as you have been called to one glorious hope for the future. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all, in all, and living through all. And so if you have chosen to follow Jesus, this is what binds us together. One Spirit, one Savior, one Father, One body, his church, his people. See, the foundation to true unity is an identity in God and what he has done. The foundation of true unity is an identity in God and what he has done through Jesus. And what's amazing as you read Ephesians, read Paul's letter talking about this unity isn't just a concept. It's actually Trinity God in action. The Father adopts us as his children. The Son unites us as his people. And the Spirit sustains us as a community. Now look around. If you're online, I don't know who you're looking at. But in here, look around. None of us are here because we voted the same way. None of us are here because we see the same way on every issue. We're here because God created all of us in his image. And the same Jesus died and rose for all of us. And the same Spirit binds us together as he transforms us from the inside out. This isn't forced sameness. This isn't just fake smiles on a Sunday. And it's not built on agreement. It's built on identity. This is deeper than who you voted for. This is deeper than your background, your race, your gender, your orientation, any. See, the system of division says, pick a side, cut off anyone who doesn't affirm all of your views perfectly. Jesus says, you are already one because of my life, death, and resurrection, and because my Spirit is living inside of you. Jesus is saying, you are already one, now act like it. It's who you are. You, like when you're born into your family, you are a family. It just is. Now act like it. And so here's the question. What does that look like for you this week? What does it look like for you this week to resist the system by maintaining and maturing unity? So let me invite all of us to this. How about this week we choose to recommit to unity within disagreement? We choose to commit to unity within disagreement. So maybe start with asking, and you don't have to do anything when you ask, but you will have to do something soon. Ask, who do I need to forgive or stop writing off? Who do I need to forgive or stop writing off? Have you put a view over a you? Has your view become more important than the person next to you? Maybe it's time to re-enter that conversation, but this time with humility. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Maybe it's a text or an email or the ultimate, an invitation to dinner. Not to convince each other of your views, but because you share Jesus. Not to change minds, but to change how the world sees unity. And then, now listen, if you're not a Jesus follower, you don't have to do any of this. You're completely off the hook. You can hate whoever you want to hate. I think you've seen how that goes. But if you call yourself a Jesus follower, you're not off the hook. Like this is God's command to you. But ask, who do I need to forgive? And then commit to staying at the table. Commit to staying at the table. We're not writing people off just because they disagree with us. We're not done with them. We're not ghosting them. See, unity isn't ignoring differences. It's saying this isn't going to divide us. This isn't going to divide us. And there's some big differences out there. In this room, there are some huge differences. But if we are committed to saying this, no matter what it is, it's not going to divide us, then we can have real conversations. Then we can actually talk and be our true selves. We can, as we love to say, we can disagree and still be in the same family. We can disagree because we are in the same family. So imagine what could happen. Like, what if your family and your extended family, you know those text threads you get, we're like, oh, crap. What if you could disagree and not just get along, but what if you could disagree and still enjoy each other? What if we could discuss serious disagreements and walk away, not angry, not rerunning it in our head, being like, I should have said this, that would have gotten them so good. But what if we could discuss serious disagreements and walk away filled with love and peace, even if we don't come to a consensus? See, this is what our world, this is what our country, this is what our social circles are longing for, this type of unity. This is what God has called us to discover, enjoy, and share with our neighbors. This is what we are being transformed to shine as a beacon of light on the darkest night to a broken and angry world. This is the life Jesus offers. And listen, we're not alone in this. Jesus has already gone before us. He has already prayed for us. So I want to read to you what Jesus prayed for you, for us, as the band comes up. He says, I am praying not only for these disciples, but also for all who will ever believe in me through their message. If you follow Jesus, he's talking about you. I pray that they will vote the same way. I pray that they will all get iPhones and not use those stupid Androids anymore. I pray they will all be one, just as you and I are one. As you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they be in us. Why? So they get along and everybody's happy? No, so that the world will believe you sent me. It is this type of unity within disagreements with people from vastly different backgrounds and worldviews and beliefs that when we are united, it shows the world that there is something here. There is something different. Maybe Jesus telling the truth. So let us be one so the world will know and find love and peace and hope in Jesus. And this unity doesn't come easy, but that's okay because easy was never the goal. See, love that sticks proves something. And this proves that the system can't silence love that refuses to leave the table. The system cannot silence love that refuses to leave the table.